From the liberal Northeast comes a lone voice of truth. Honest commentary in dishonest times. Think deeper with Juan Newsom. This is the Cure Radio Program. This is the Cure.
Juan Newsom Cure Radio Show. I'm here with Cat from Kathy Talk. What day is this, Cat?
Week 9, day 1.
Week 9 of the lockout. Now, I don't know about you. I'm so frustrated with the lockdown. I'm fine with the lockdown. I go out and get some air during the day and whatnot. I got errands to run. But I'm frustrated with some of the people during the course of my lockdown.
Let me tell you about some of these people, right? Now, I'm not in Georgia. I'm not in New York. I'm in Georgia, right? So, New York, New Jersey area, you have reason to be scared of what's happening right now.
Yep.
Because you guys have almost 30%, more than 30% of all fatalities in the New York, New Jersey area alone. New York and New Jersey account for 14,000 out of 40,000 people in the whole United States. Mm-hmm. There's a different level of panic and fear and being exposed than there is here in Georgia. Here in my neck of the woods, where I see more cows and turkey than people, we've had six people total that have died, all over the age of 70. 6, not 6,000, not 16, not 66.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they bothering me? Why are they harassing me that I need to stay home and the pool can't open? Why is this happening to me?
Well, the thing is, even in New York, right? Even in New York, and I know in New York and New Jersey, we're kind of living close together, and it's very densely populated and all that, yada, yada. There's still a way that you can put the economy back into pieces and in phases.
Absolutely.
And Cuomo is going to open up. New York is going to be open, okay? Because Wall Street, and then there's a lot of corporations, and they're running out of money. So New York's a done deal. That's going to open. Whether they're going to have limited subway service, whether they encourage people to who can work from home, yada, yada, yada. New York is going to open.
Yeah.
And Connecticut is going to follow. It's just stupid ass New Jersey and Phil Murphy. We might actually be here to August before we open because Phil Murphy is a damn idiot. Okay?
And he is listening to the COVID Karens and Kellys and Sheilas who want to dictate everybody else's life because they are afraid. And this is the problem with having a blanketed system across all the states, having this lockdown, because then you give the power to these individuals who are driven by fear. And I'm not interested when I got a population of six total in the death toll. I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to read anything about you and in the other side of the community telling me that you don't think we should use the tennis. You don't think kids should be on the volleyball court. Mm-hmm. Reminding everyone that there are signs that somebody put up, cardboard signs. Somehow those cardboard signs trump your Bill of Rights and your constitutional rights. Somehow these COVID Karens, Kellys, and Sheilas now have the authority to dictate who could do what they could do, when they could do it. And then they go online and pass judgment on everybody else. Mm-hmm. So if they see you outside, I swear to God, one person said, They're congregating in their driveways.
Mhm.
I can't believe these people. They're congregating in their driveways. Bitch, go home. Ain't nobody invite you to the driveway. You don't live here. Stay in your house. Stay in your neck of the woods, and we will have no problems. You will never get anything from me if you don't come around my way. But when you come around my way, you want to start talking shit and dictating about me. No. I pay my mortgage. I pay my HOA. I pay all that stuff. You need to go. You're not talking to a teenager. We're talking to homeowners.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here with that.
Yeah. People are nosy as hell. Basically.
Oh my God. I was gonna post on Facebook. The Lord said, "Be still and know." However, these chicks out here are taking it as be nosy and try to make everybody stay still. Like, you done messed up the Lord's words. That is not how it was intended. It's be still. Like, commune with yourself. Figure out if you are a sickly person and you fit into these demographics, as messed up as they may be. We all know minority communities and low-income communities have higher rates of death, period, from every disease, from every ailment. Okay? So if you fall into that category and you are part of that demographic group, then you, not the government, you need to be responsible for your own safety and health, right? Like, you don't know that you're obese. You don't know that you have diabetes. You don't know that you're susceptible to disease and you can't hardly breathe. You don't know that? Governors and mayors and Trump got to tell you to wear a mask, stay home.
Well, not only that, Kat, this is where immigration comes in, and this is where I can't stand some people. When people immigrate to this country and they first don't and they're not well to do, they are in minority neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Like, so minorities are around each other when they first immigrate to this country.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't shocked to learn that blacks were being disproportionately affected by coronavirus than other groups. I was not. It was not a surprise to me. And here's another case where Trump was proven right about immigration and how it affects minorities that are here legally or citizens here. And, Trump was right about the ventilators. He told them, look, y'all don't need as many ventilators. They made the ventilators anyway and ended up not using all the ventilators.
I'll tell you why, though. I'll tell you why, but go ahead.
Trump's right about a lot of stuff that he doesn't get credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, tell me why.
Okay, so if you are starting to data on COVID, what the virus actually does and how it attacks your body. Now, there's a lot of journals coming out. A lot of doctors from all over the world are writing pieces of what their experience is. And there's a lot of doctors on YouTube and making videos about what seen in the ER, what they are seeing in the ICU, and how the virus is progressing and why it's so hard with the traditional protocols that they use for other flus and other pneumonias. So what's happening is when you get a ventilator put in, it's a tube that goes into your lung, keep your lungs inflated with oxygen, right?
Yep.
So the tube has to go down your throat and be placed so that it can continuously fill and keep the pressure, the right amount of pressure, to keep filling your lungs with oxygen with the right amount of pressure so that it could go through the rest of the organs in your body. That is how you stay alive on a ventilator. What COVID does is not deflate the lungs. So the pneumonia that people are saying that they have is actually not coming from the COVID. It may be a bacterial pneumonia that they're getting, which is why they're giving antibiotics. Remember, we questioned that initially. Yeah. So what the doctors, what the scientists, what the MDs on the front line are saying that it is closer to a hypoxia, which is a deprivation of oxygen. And this happens when you go to really high altitudes, or if you do like scuba diving and you get the bends where the oxygen, the pressure removes the oxygen from your blood. And when you don't have oxygen circulating, it's almost like if you're suffocating, right? So your lungs are fully functioning when they intubate you. But what happens is with the ventilators is that they have to give you they have to paralyze you. They have to give you a sedative so that you don't move. They have to put you into a coma. So when they do that, they are pumping the oxygen in and out of your lungs, but they're not doing anything to put oxygen into your blood. So even the oxygen, you are capable of breathing, but the oxygen you're breathing is not saturating in the lungs. So the ventilators are not working. They're actually speeding up the death because now you made them incapable of moving, which just shuts down the body faster. So where you had maybe 50% chance on a ventilator with a normal flu, you have only 20% chance of survival on a ventilator with the COVID.
Wow, that's heavy.
That is the problem.
Wow.
That is the problem that they have been seeing. Almost 80% of people who were put on ventilators died faster because it is not a lung issue. It is a oxygen deprivation issue, which means you need to oxygenate the blood, which is what you do on a dialysis machine. So I'm glad they're building ventilators, but you can't get oxygen into the body if the lungs are not carrying the oxygen because COVID destroys the hemoglobin, which is a lot more scientific than most people need to know. But that's just the reason why.
Wow. My wife, one of her professors died. He was on a ventilator. And they had, wow, that's...
But you don't know what. So when you're in, an emergency situation and you're seeing someone struggling and you see that their oxygen numbers are going down, you're going to give them oxygen. You're going to pump oxygen, but they haven't lost consciousness. When you are oxygen deprived through your lungs, it cuts off the oxygen to your brain and you start passing out. That's not happening with these people.
Wow.
According to what I've seen and read, and you could go to the scientific journals, American scientific journals online, and you could read what these doctors is happening, and you could watch videos of what's happening. So
wow,
it's just you don't know. You're not trying to kill anybody. You know what I mean? You just don't know how to address the situation. And because you have people in such a panic thinking that, why can't you just get ventilators? We're not prepared. No, we're not prepared at all because this is not what it has appeared to be from the jump. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be prepared for this.
Wow. I know people, they're blaming Trump for every single thing. And it's really getting ridiculous. And even my wife, who's apolitical, she's like totally not political. And she said, man, it's amazing what Trump did in a matter of a few weeks. She said, because this thing could have been way worse if he didn't put that travel ban on.
And it would have been.
It would have been. And people, there's a statistic out that 40,000 people came back to the United States from China after the ban was put on. But those are citizens. Those are people with green cards. That gets lost in the noise. No one says that.
Right.
They use that as a stat to disprove that the ban was actually working.
Right.
So it absolutely makes no sense.
I mean, I'm just happy that in the state of Georgia, Governor Kemp, and in the state of Florida, they have decided that we need to see what's really happening. Because I'll give you an example of shelter in place, right? My girlfriend just put it, I think she's in Delaware, right? They've had shelter in place for the same amount of time as in New York. All of a sudden, there's an uptick in deaths. All of a sudden, right? So I can't believe that people seeing what's happening in one state just decide, I'm not going to follow those rules. Let's just see what happens. Even with the shelter in place order.
Yep.
They were sheltered in place. Okay? They were doing the same exact thing we were doing.
Yep.
I tell you, I don't hardly ever see people. I see more people now under a shelter in place order than I have in the 9 months I've been here.
Exactly.
Where people going to work and going, and so I don't see how we can equate shelter in place 100% with the stats on deaths. Or it's either shelter in place is not really as effective as people want it to be, or people are not sheltering in place, which I don't believe 100% of, or that if you had it, like the timeline is off. They're saying like 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks. We keep hearing these 15 days, these 2 weeks. What if all those people were sick and you have them shelter in place and then they become terminal after a month? How do you know it's 2 weeks? Like, where did they come up with the 2 weeks that they're so sure of? 2 weeks, 2 weeks. You won't show symptoms for 2 weeks. You won't do this for 2 weeks. How do you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Kat, the damn models were wrong. And so, and I don't know why we're trusting these models. Models do not freaking equal science.
Not at all. No.
How do we get to the point where we rely on these models and then everyone keeps saying, you know, the experts this, the experts that? Okay, so they're experts. I'll give it to you. But damn if I can't critically think about what the experts is presenting to me, because sometimes the experts can get it wrong, and they've been getting it wrong ever since this pandemic started. So,
well, I find it hilarious when the people will tell you that science, you must be a religious fanatic because you don't believe in science. You're denying the science. Science itself is the observation of what is happening. It is the creating of hypothesis, basing it on your observation, and then being able to test and measure to see if that observation and that hypothesis have enough of a correlation that you can say this is a cause and this is the effect.
That is definition.
That is science. Okay? That's science. All right? Which means the shit is going to be wrong most of the motherfucking time. So how is it possible that we need to only listen to scientists? Only pay attention to the science. The science is wrong. As I said weeks ago, these experts are as good as weathermen. Today it was supposed to rain. Do you see the sun shining? Do you see the sun coming in my window right now? Today, all day, rain. That was predicted. Okay? That's about how accurate science is, because shit fluctuates. You look at something, you think this is the reason why this caused that and what happened and whatever, and you make models and you gather data and you figure out how to make it work, right? But it don't work. And it's not supposed to. That's the practice of science. So don't give me your stupid science rules everything, because science is a bunch of guessing until you find something that the more you guess, the more it correlates, and you figure one causes the other, or they have some kind of relationship together. But you know nothing. There is no conclusions in science, ever.
Yeah. It can always be work. That's why I never bought climate change.
No, the climate is always changing. What kind of science
always
is that?
Changing. Exactly. It's like, okay, so what you're saying is we're doomed based on some computer models, and so based on some computer models, so 100 years from now, we're doomed. So we have to surrender our tax dollars.
Yeah.
We have to surrender our tax dollars. We have to shrink the size of our vehicles. And we have to risk losing our economy to maybe curve something that may happen 100 years from now when all of us will be dead, it just doesn't sound right. It never sounded right to me.
You know what a bigger issue is, and not to get off this specific topic, but a bigger issue that people face is that they don't have an understanding of their own bodies.
Yep, exactly.
And you don't have an understanding or basis of how you relate to the natural world around you. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you look at indigenous groups and tribes and all that stuff, they understand how the body works, and they use nature to maintain their health, their immunity. I mean, you want to call them witch doctors, but they're actually using science of nature. Whereas the medical profession now is using the science of chemistry and synthetic, you know, who the hell knows what they put, additives. They have toxins and all this stuff. They use cells from all kinds of animals, different animals, to create things. They have an incubation system that they build all these cells off of who the hell knows what kind of material is the basis for what that they're using. And then these things they're trying to convince you is medicine to help you improve your body. But if you give people exercises, tell them about a herb that grows straight out the ground, tell them about the different effects that your mind and intention has on even the water that you drink, then you're wackadoo. You're totally out of it. You're a witch doctor. You're a quack. Nobody could take you serious.
Because you're not listening to the experts and the FDA and all of the established order. Like,
I'll figure out your natural routine and holistic approach after I pop pills so I can feel better. Okay? That's what people want to do. And then you see on TV, if you've taken this drug between this year and you're suffering side effects, heart attacks, or sudden death, you can have a claim. Like, even talcum powder, even baby powder from Johnson and Johnson is now linked to ovarian cancer, cervical cancer in women. Using powder is now linked to cancer. But if you try to give somebody a natural deodorant, that don't work. Let me go. I gotta buy my stuff from the store. That won't work.
Man, the indoctrination is real, Cat.
I tried years ago, Juan. To tell people, just inform people about toothpaste. Right now, my husband thinks I'm totally out of my mind, and I am doing myself a disservice because many years ago, I stopped using toothpaste because of the fluoride content and the other ingredients that it has that is not to be ingested by a human body. It's just not, right? So your teeth and your gum line is all connected to your nasal cavity, and it goes straight up to your ears and your brain. So if you have an infection in your tooth, which most adults know, if you have an abscess, you can actually get brain damage from it.
Yeah, you can. You can die.
Okay. Yeah. So using toxins every single day, twice a day, as recommended by the Surgeon General or the head of the dentistry or whatever, is also a toxin. It's also a toxin.
What do you use?
So instead, I use baking soda and peroxide.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And from time to time, I will also use coconut oil as the paste, and they sell it's the black powder, which is actually like burnt coconut husks, like that, like the skin of the coconut, the brown part.
Yeah.
You burn it and make it an ash, and it actually will clean your teeth. So the baking soda reduces the inflammation. and the gums, and keeps away things like the gingivitis. Peroxide, obviously, is a antiseptic, a cleaning agent. And coconut oil has tons of anti-inflammatory, antibacterial properties. So why, again, I need to ingest fluoride? That's a proven neurotoxin. Yeah. Why am I going to give that to my kids?
Wow.
How many people use regular toothpaste and fluoride for years and still end up with tons of cavities?
Yeah. Wow, that's deep. That's deep.
They don't want to hear it, Juan. They don't want to hear it. They want the fucking Colgate. Go get your bubblegum Colgate. All right.
Your teeth look great though.
And I drink coffee every day. Yeah. And I don't use a tooth whitener.
That's crazy.
It's real.
You're gonna have me using baking soda and peroxide now.
A little bit of baking soda. We spray the peroxide, and it gets like foamy. You put the baking soda, wet it a little to make it like a paste, or wet it with the coconut oil, and that's it.
My mom used to do that, actually. Yeah.
You could use baking soda for all kinds of stuff. Kinds of stuff, and it's a natural product.
Wow. So changing subjects, we were talking about opening up the economy a few minutes ago. The Michigan governor has turned into a damn tyrant. What the hell is wrong with this lady?
It went to her head, boo. It went to her head. She's trying to be vice president for Biden, and she's ready to lock up every person in Michigan who doesn't obey her tyrannical rule. You don't get to suspend people's rights because you fucking feel like it on a Tuesday. Like, you don't get to do that. People have rights, and you, who elected official, are basically a nobody working for them. They need to remove her. They need to remove her.
They started a recall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's out of her mind. How are you going to tell people? It's the same thing like in Florida. How are you going to tell people who live on an ocean? Say I had a pier, I had a dock, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to tell me that while I'm quarantined and staying in my own home, I can't get on my own boat and go onto my own waterway and my own dock? Is that not insane?
That is pretty insane.
I don't have the ability to travel to my house in the mountains. I don't have the ability to go to my second house. Like, it's messed up for a lot of people because Detroit is a shithole, and you know how that city is. So of course they're suffering. But there's people who are in my situation where I'm not right in there. I'm not in the outbreak hot zone. Mm-hmm. So why are you treading on me? Mm-hmm. It's outrageous.
Wow.
What about in Ohio? I wanted to talk about Ohio.
Oh my God, Ohio. Ohio is a mess.
Well, so the story came out, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, damn, this is messed up. So the story was saying that the healthcare workers were being heckled.
Yep.
By protesters. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that's messed up. Like, what's going on? Like, why would you heckle healthcare workers? That makes no sense. Mm-hmm. So then I read the story, and it actually said that several healthcare workers, supposedly, because I don't even know if I believe that.
Yeah, no.
But people dressed up in scrubs and masks were standing in front of protesters' cars while they were trying to drive up to the Capitol to protest.
I bet you those people were paid.
Hell yeah. They were all actors. Like, give me a break. It didn't even look like official clothes.
That has the Democratic Party, left-wing political activists all over it.
Oh, yeah. But then the way they said it, the way they did and framed the story in the headline, which most people, that's all they read is the headline, and then they post a link and boom, here, get mad at this.
So there was coordination between the media and the people that were there.
I questioned somebody who posted it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't saying that people went to hospitals and heckled the workers while they were trying to go and save lives. This is saying that some clowns dressed up in scrubs and masks were standing in front of people's cars while they were driving to the Capitol, not the hospital, driving to the Capitol to go and protest whoever is the governor or mayor of whatever city in Ohio that it was. So there's a difference. If they were in fact healthcare workers, let's just say, if they were, that doesn't give you the right to stop somebody else's First Amendment. That doesn't give you the right to stand in front of my car. What makes you think I'm gonna stop rolling? Like, you jump in front of my car, that's your bad decision making. But you're not gonna be influencing me. I thought they went to a hospital and were like, bothering them there. But the other way around, like, please get your ass out of my way. I got rights.
I got to question this, Cat, because the Democratic media has a way of coordinating with activists.
Of course, it was totally coordinated.
Same thing with the Kavanaugh hearing.
Mm-hmm.
You had Democrat activists all over the place, dressed up in Handmaiden Tales uniforms. Remember that? Did you remember that, right?
Yeah.
I was getting on the train going to New York in South Orange, and I was like, I had to check this lady. I was like, what are you dressed in? She was like, well, this is the Handmaiden's Tale. This is what happened if Kavanaugh is, confirmed.
It's ridiculous.
And Republicans keep power. I was like, look, first of all, Republicans and conservatives aren't experimenting in eugenics. It's the damn Democrats. Y'all the ones pushing abortion, pushing all these, selling baby parts.
Yep.
Selling baby parts. You pushing abortion, pushing all of this stem cell research from aborted babies. Those are the people experimenting in eugenics, not conservatives, not Republicans, trying to limit that stuff so that we won't have a Handmaid's Tale scenario. I had to check this late. They don't care though, man. Emotion.
They don't care.
Emotion overrides fact with these people. So.
All the time. Because they tell you how to feel. And then they make you feel that way with every story that they post over and over and over and over. So they are being systematically programmed through their emotions to fear certain ideas. They don't even want you to have a different idea. How dare you? You know how many times I have heard throughout my life from my family first? How many times I have heard that how could you, as a Latina, as a woman, as someone who grew up in low income poverty, as someone who one of the first to graduate college in your family, one of the first people to and they check off every box for me. And because I don't side with their socialist perspectives or communist agendas, I allow, and it's like it boggles their mind, because you can't possibly come from poverty and come from all these different little groups that they stuck me in and have a different thought than they do. I'm like, finish checking off the boxes and then shove it, because it doesn't apply. Like, I'm sorry, I don't believe in the system that you believe in. I believe in the self. I'm not a Trump lover. Everybody's like, you love Trump. You just love Trump. Oh, your daddy Trump. Trump ain't never done a damn thing for me. I just need him to get out the way. Get everybody out the way. He ain't paying me personally to say anything about him. I don't care. I appreciate the results of making the economy better, having people go to work, trying to eliminate a lot of the red tape so businesses can grow and thrive, and trying to fix now the healthcare, trying to fix all these different systems, making sure that our national security is top notch, keeping people out who don't belong here And, those are the qualities that I appreciate. And if it was a Democrat president doing it, then fine too. I don't care. I don't got one or the other.
That's the irony. That's the irony, Cat. I get the same flack from blacks about, and here's the thing. I wasn't really a diehard Trump supporter. I like his policies. I like the policies that he's implemented. And the policies that he's implemented, you saw an all-time low in Black and Latino unemployment. Like, exactly. That's documented. Like, you saw more money for, minority schools, school choice, which affects minorities, Black and Latino especially. You saw criminal justice reform, which,
you would have thought that would have been something that Obama would have championed, considering he was black. But he did nothing. He did nothing. Didn't him and Michelle get disbarred, or was it just her?
I don't know.
For that whole Rensko scandal? Not to drudge up old news, but since she's trying to make a comeback, and like, didn't you get disbarred for like illegal activity and whatnot in Chicago? Like, please, lady.
I don't know, but it's just, these are things that every black person has been looking for since Jesse Jackson ran in 1984. Trump delivers this stuff, and then they still hate him. And then the irony, here's the real irony. The whole thing about trade, how he feels about trade, how he felt about NAFTA, which is why he renegotiated, how he felt about immigration. These are things that were just universally agreed upon by members of every political stripe. People from every political stripe, especially blacks, especially, white blue collar workers, especially blacks in places like Southern California and Texas and in Florida. These are things that we kind of, as Americans, universally agreed upon. And so for the purpose of political expediency, the left has tossed those to the side because they want to take these same groups, make them constituents, and lower the American experience for, not only whites, but for, minority citizens. I mean, it's a shame.
Well, they should be especially annoyed, inflamed, enraged about the fact that you can have people living on the streets, living in poverty, living in the hood, living in crime for years on end. And as long as they don't cross over too much into the richy white areas, it's okay. We can manage them in the hoods, shooting each other, killing each other, and selling each other drugs.
Yeah,
that's manageable. Now, they want to make sure that there is something free, something we could do for illegals who weren't born here. They just crossed the border. They want to treat them with a certain level of humanity, which they should, that they never even gave to the Black and Hispanic community that were always living here, that were always born here. In fact, they try to screw minority communities as much as possible out of money, through gentrification. If you live uptown Manhattan, right off Central Park, they raised those rents up, redistricted the area, and programs. So now you see all the white people who used to live in the 40s and 50s and down and Lower East Side coming all the way uptown for cheaper rents, but rents that are now too high for the people who were always living there. They didn't want to improve the neighborhood for the people who always lived there. They didn't want to make things better. They let them destroy it, keep it disheveled, defecate everywhere, drug needles everywhere. But when money's coming in, let's invest in these neighborhoods now. Let's get all these programs. Let's get all this stuff. And now they're doing all these programs for illegals in a time of need when they have so many minority communities who were always in a time of need. They've always been going to the food kitchens. They've always been going to shelters. Why weren't we trying to help them then? You want to help them now?
This is The Cure.